Okay, on to the rest of the head build. Now, like I said, I jumped steps. I went ahead and put the grips on first, okay, simply for video reasons. Now I'm going to go back to page 2, and we're going to do the fly bar cage, fly bar, etc., etc. All right, so go ahead and get those parts out. Now, it's a couple of bags out of that big head bag. Bear with me here. Remember, we're working out of this one bag here. All right, so, you know, with the paddles in it and everything. We haven't opened any other bag. And by the way, great packaging. Make sure you're not having to jump around. Anyway, so you're going to get the fly bar cage out. In another little pouch is the screws that hold the fly bar cage together, the set screws, a link set, and there's a bunch of links in there. And there's 4 short rods. They're all the same length. These are the 15 millimeter rods, and there's 2 long rods. We can set those aside for now. Get your fly bar out, and then we're going to go ahead and assemble the cage. Now, notice on this fly bar cage there's an arc to it, okay? That is specifically so Outrage Design makes a lower head between the seesaw and the grips, and that arc down allows the seesaw to travel farther. If you put that upside down, you're going to have a problem. Just remember the set screw will face up toward the top of the head when you build this cage. All right, however, before we assemble this, we need to get a set of links built because we have to have links on the cage before we bolt the cage all together. Now, the manual doesn't say this. Let me zoom in here. Manual doesn't say this, but these links are not unidirectional. If you look close, the links show a ring on one side and not on the other side. It's flat. You'll also notice, like on this flat side, that the diameter of the ball hole is smaller than the diameter of the hole on this side. These are not universal links. The link with the ring on it will go on the ball first, okay? So let me just put that on real quick. Ball link pliers. Actually, ball link pliers won't work on these because you can't get on them, so you got to press them on easy. I want to see how tight the links are. Yeah, that's well too tight. So you're going to need a ball link sizing tool to size the links before you assemble this. All right, so what we need to do is go ahead and get 4 of these links out. We need to make up a set of links. And also I'm going to talk about the fact that when the seesaw cage is together, you want to make sure that the link that's going to go on the washout is the right orientation, so you're not making a twist and putting them on opposite. So one will go one way, one will go the other. I'll talk about that when we get them built. But we want one facing one way, one facing the other in relation to the washout. Anyway, we need to size these links, so let's get sizing. Let's get out 2 of the 15 millimeter rods. Now, how long the link should be is based on, if you look, it says, go look at page 6. Let me go wide here now. Go look at page 6 of the manual to determine your link lengths. So this link that we're building here is called link B, or it's called link B, all right? And then you go to this page, and here, based on your settings and whatnot, it gives you different link lengths, okay, which is pretty cool, actually, where your balls are on your head. As I told you, depending on where you put them, the links may be different. But for B1, will always be the same. So you go over and you look up link B, and hold on, where is it? Yeah, link B. On all 3 of these, no matter where you have them, link B is 1.5 millimeter gap here. All right, so I hope that makes sense. So not very difficult. The gap between the base of the links, not this time between the center hole, but between the base of the links for link B, doesn't matter what you selected for ball placement, it's going to be 1.5, all right? So we're going to make those up and get those links ready, and then when I come back, I'll talk about getting them on in the right orientation. All right, so let's get those links made up with the 1.5 spacing, and we'll continue on. Okay, so there we go. I made my links up. Now, actually, let me take one off here. I should have probably shown you this. What I do is, even though I measure that 1.5 gap, you know, plastic molding varies. So what I do is I use a set of calipers. I put a set of balls on my calipers so I can just put them on there, make sure they're identical. It's important these are identical lengths, okay? Let me widen up a little bit. So you want to make sure they're identical. You can always adjust them later, but when you do, you want them to adjust them the same. All right, since you can't use ball link pliers, remember, now when you build these links, put the ring and ring, where they'll go on the ball, on the same side, all right? if you don't do this right and you have to make a half twist, then they're not going to be the same length, all right? So then go ahead, and you can't use ball link pliers, so carefully put that on the ball. Okay, now I had to size these links quite a bit, all right, and I mean quite a bit. They were very tight, so don't think you can build this helicopter without a ball link sizing tool. You're going to need one, all right? So it's just a matter of fact. All right, now when we build this cage, what we're going to do is we're going to put ring, okay, so for instance, I'm building this cage, ring, all right, so that, and then this side will be ring facing the other way. So once it's built, it doesn't matter which way I go, I'm sorry, this way, doesn't matter which way I go, ring will be that way. Now if you look at the manual, you will see that the cage comes down to the washout side on this side of the head. So we want the ring here and the ring here to be on the same side because we want that ring or that larger opening to go on the washout arm. All right, so when you build these, make sure you get that in the right orientation. So there's my ring. If I was building the head like so, I would put the flybar cage together like this, and I'd have ring, and then same thing the other way, ring. So no matter which way I put this flybar cage, I'm correct. But remember, ring on one side, ring on the other. Don't flip it around the other way because that won't be right. When you finally go to put your washout on, you'll find out the ball is not going to go on the washout arm in the same orientation. Anyway, I hope that makes sense. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put 2 screws with Loctite and put these 2 arms on one side of the flybar cage, making sure I've got, from what you're seeing here, is this is the way I want it. I've got the ring side of the links and the ring. Let me flip this over, flip it outside. Again, this is important you do so you don't have to do a half twist. So I've got the ring on this side, okay, and the ring on this side, and of course this is the top of the helicopter. So make sure you got that right. Let's go ahead and get 2 screws in Loctite. We'll continue on. Okay, so we got this half of the flybar cage now. It's pretty easy to tighten these up. Also, I didn't talk about something, is there's 2 holes on the flybar cage, and as the manual shows, let me go back to that step since I had the link location. The inner hole is for faster response, outer hole for slower. I'm going for faster on the flybar cage, so I moved mine to the inside. If you're new and you're just learning, put them on the outside. Okay, another way to make sure you got the links on right is that ring I talked about and the ring I talked about, head rotates clockwise. Just make sure these always face the clockwise direction. So ring on this side, ring on this side. Let me just double check that. Yep, that's correct. So ring on the clockwise facing side and ring on the clockwise facing side. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and kind of assemble this. You're going to put the cage on the seesaw, run the fly bar through. Now remember, if you're doing this right, the set screw for the fly bar cage will be upright. Okay, let me feed this through. Okay, like so. Don't worry about the how far the fly bar is now. Remember, this arc will be in this fashion with the head. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put on the other half of the fly bar cage and go ahead, put those 2 screws in and tighten them up. Now, one thing you want to do is make sure your fly bar cage isn't twisted, okay? I've seen people actually do that. So when you bolt this all up, when you're all said and done, looking across this arc and this arc of the fly bar cage, they should be parallel, not twisted to each other, okay? So make sure you don't get them twisted. Usually, if you tighten up one set, which was pretty easy to do just holding the rod, you go to put this one on, you'll be okay. But just double check, sight down that fly bar cage and make sure they're parallel to each other and not twisted. Okay, so let me get that other side on and we'll continue on. Okay, so there we go. We got the fly bar cage, and again, sight down it and make sure, that both sides of the cage are parallel. Again, make sure as the head rotates that you got the ring that goes to the washout on this side, ring that goes facing the clockward side. All right, so then I went ahead and centered up my fly bar. Now, so you know what I came up with, measuring from the tit of the cage to the end of the fly bar, was 154 millimeters on each side. All right, and double check that. Yep, 154 millimeters from the tit of the cage to the end of the fly bar. At this point, go ahead, without moving the fly bar, put your set screws in. Don't forget the Loctite. Get your fly bar locked. Anyway, that will finish the seesaw, and we'll continue on.